Here's how to integrate Google Search Console with Google Analytics using Google Tag Manager. So I'm in my Google Analytics for ChristyOsborne.com, and I want a little bit of extra data for looking at my Google Analytics. And in this case, I want to know what kind of keywords are driving traffic to my website when people do a Google search. I can get this information, but I'm going to have to connect Search Console to my analytics first. And there's a really easy way to do this if you're using Google Tag Manager. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go over to Google Search Console. So that's search.google.com. And up in the left-hand corner here, I'm going to add a property. Now, your Google Search Console might look a little bit different than mine if this is your first property that you are adding. But you will find the option to add a property up in the upper left-hand corner. So I'm going to click on Add a Property, and there's two options here. One is domain verification, and the other is URL. So if you're running something like a shop and your URL says shop.yourwebsite.com, and you want all of that to be linked to Search Console. In other words, if your shop is public facing and you want to know what keywords people search for to land on your shop, you're going to want to do the DNS verification. And it's a little bit more techy. It might require you to contact your developer because they basically have to create a TXT record in DNS wherever your URL is registered. So if that's GoDaddy or Namecheap or whatever. An easier way, especially if you're running Google Tag Manager, is just to do a URL prefix. Now, the shortcoming with this is it is very URL specific. So a easy way to make sure that you don't muck this up is to simply go to your website and copy your URL. And then come back to Search Console and paste it right in there. And you'll see that it includes the HTTPS and the www for ChristyOsborne.com because that is the actual URL that I am presenting. You may or may not have the www. If you don't have the S in HTTPS, you might want to look into fixing that. But whatever your website actually is, you're going to want to paste it into here. Now, again, if you have a subdomain like gallery, but it's not public facing, it's not searchable, you don't want people to search it, then this URL prefix will be fine. But if you do have a domain with a subdomain like shop or whatever that you do want that is public facing and searchable, you're going to want to use this domain verification. So anyway, my URL prefix is in there. I'm going to click continue, and you'll see that it auto verifies using Google Tag Manager. So great. You can go to the property, and now you can see in Google Search Console, here is the property, and no data is coming in quite yet. It's going to take a couple of days, maybe even up to a week, depending on how big your website is. So now I'm going to go back to Google Analytics, and I'm actually going to set up and integrate the Search Console. So if I click on this, it's going to bring me to my admin menu under property, and I can scroll down and see that there is a section for Search Console here. I can just click on this button, and I'm going to add my site by clicking on the add link, and we see ChristyOsborne.com is here. So I can click on that and click add site to Search Console. Confirm that I do want to add it. It's going to bring me back to Search Console, but what's going to happen is when I come back to Analytics and I go back to my acquisitions, Search Console, and queries, now you can see that even though there's no data that's populated in here yet, it is linked, and I will be able to start to see these search queries come in depending on how big my website is. If you have a huge website, maybe in a couple hours. If you have a medium-sized website, in a couple days. And if you have a small website like this, it might take a week or so for these search queries to populate. But that's how to integrate Google Analytics with your Google Search Console using Google Tag Manager.